everyone, and welcome back to this live broadcast, Making It Together Home Edition. I'm going to be going live from Facebook and YouTube every week, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, to share tips and tricks that you can be doing at home to keep yourself busy, maybe keep your kids busy. And all you need is a heat press and a vinyl cutter. And I'm really excited for today's project because we're going to be working with 3 Bling products that are really exciting to work with that you can order from Stahls or Transfer Express, or maybe just scrap heat transfer vinyl that you have laying around. But those products are, the first one being stock rhinestone transfers. So these are available through Transfer Express, and I'll show you exactly where these are located at on their website. And we're going to be pairing Glitter Flake. So CAD-CUT Glitter Flake is a true glitter textured heat transfer vinyl that has a lot of high shine and vibrance to it, and it really allows any design to really pop off of the garment. So I'm going to start off with a project at the heat press so you can see how these products pair together and really see how the finishes really complement each other. I see some of you guys commenting in. Again, I am live from Facebook and YouTube, so any comments that you guys have, I would love to know where you guys are joining from, and any questions. I'll be sure to be visiting that part of the broadcast so I can answer any of those questions you may have. All right, so I'm going to start at the heat press, and we're going to be heat printing just a basic cotton t-shirt, right? And this was sourced from Sanmar. So the brand is District, and I really like this because it has a nice heathered electric type of print throughout it that incorporates a gray sort of charcoal look with the black fabric that we have here. And I'm going to be using the Craft 9x12 heat press, right? This is also available at transferexpress.com if you're looking for just a small press that you can easily fit in your house, or something that's portable if you plan on printing at events like craft fairs or anything that could be coming up later this year. But it's a really great heat press. It locks down. It has the center pressure adjustment, and it gives you your temperature and time readout so you know that you're getting an accurate application every time. So all I have to do is load on my garment. And just like any other application, we are going to make sure we're preheating and releasing any moisture, wrinkles in the fabric, especially wrinkles, so that nothing's causing an uneven pressure for our applications. All right, so the first application I'm going to do is the largest part of my design, being the white design. Okay, so this is CAD-CUT Glitter Flake. Again, this is in white. All right, so we do offer 2 white styles in this product, rainbow and then just the basic white. So this is the basic white that you're seeing here. And I'm just going to give this like a 3 to 5 second tack, long enough to just cure that adhesive and get it to stick onto the shirt, right? As long as that adhesive is activated, I can get that on there really quickly by just tacking that, and then finishing that heat application with the rest of my design. All right, so I'm just placing the red part here now, shifting my t-shirt over a little bit. All right, so we tacked the white glitter flake. Now we're going to tack the red. And then when we heat apply our stock rhinestone transfer, again, sourced from Transfer Express, this applies at 325 degrees for 10 to 12 seconds. So I know my glitter flake is going to get the full application it needs to hold durably in a wash cycle. All right, so I am doing the stock rhinestone last because I want this to get the most pressure. All right, so if I were to be applying this first and then aligning the rest of this, that might cause this to not get the accurate amount of pressure. So whenever you are working with rhinestones, try to make it the last step in your heat application so that it's not causing any uneven pressure, because these are going to raise off of the garment more so than the heat transfer vinyl will. All right, so just locking that down for its full application. So again, rhinestones do apply at 325 degrees. right? So although Glitter Flake applies at 300, it's not going to hurt it at all to up that temperature, right? And rhinestones are a cold pill, so we are going to wait for this to cool. Now, one thing whenever you're working with stock rhinestones, it's important to kind of know how to incorporate those into your designs. And that's one thing we're going to focus on today is getting the stock rhinestones, knowing the dimensions of how they can fit into a design and actually creating a design around that. So we'll be working in CADWorks Live and then actually vinyl cutting on the Cricut. And we'll be showing 2 other Bling products that pair great with the rhinestones. All right, so this is a cold peel. I'm going to tilt my laptop down so that you guys can see this peel away. Right, making sure I'm going nice and slow and not ripping the fabric or anything or distorting that, because this carrier becomes pretty tacky once it's heat applied. But that's the finished result. And you can see how nicely that pairs with Glitter Flake. So we're not only getting the rhinestone bling, but also a lot of bling from that Glitter Flake as well. Right, so anytime you're doing mixed media like this, make sure you're taking into consideration how you're going to lay it out on your heat press and get it all heat applied accurately. So the first thing I thought about was pressure. I wanted to make sure my rhinestones were applied as my last step, so it wasn't causing any uneven pressure for my Glitter Flake to apply accurately. The other thing I was thinking about as well is temperature. All right, so anytime I'm working with a mixed media type of graphic on apparel, I always want to make sure I'm going with the highest temperature of the products that are being paired together. In this case, it being the rhinestones, which applies at 325 degrees. And that's not going to hurt Glitter Flake to apply at that temperature either. So I do see some comments coming in. Hi, Rosemary. Thank you. All right, awesome. And hi, Maria. All right, so Kathy asks, you don't need to cover with a Teflon sheet. So that is actually a good question. So anytime I am at the office, I am always consistently working with a cover sheet, whether that be a Teflon or a craft paper. However, since I'm at home, I did forget to grab those from the office, but I would typically use a cover sheet here, whether that be a piece of fabric or something that I could put over that. Honestly, it's just assurance that nothing is going to stick to the top of my heating element. In this case, since I'm used to working with these products, I know Glitter Flake's going to be just fine, and the rhinestones weren't getting hit without a carrier, so I wasn't too concerned about those. But in any case, I always recommend using a cover sheet just to be safe. All right, and Denise asked, what brand was the shirt again? This was District, which is sourced from Sanmar. All right, and I see some of you all commenting in. Good morning, good morning. Yes, thank you guys so much for joining. Any other questions? Denise likes how that came out. All right, awesome. All right, so let's talk a little bit more about how you can get the dimensions of the stock rhinestone transfer so you can incorporate more of these into some of your heat transfer vinyl designs. So let's take a look. I'm going to share my screen real quick. And this is a design that we're going to be creating today with a palm tree stock rhinestone. We're going to be heat applying this to a tote bag at the end once it's all said and done. But before I got to this point, the first thing I did was go to Transfer Express and I looked at their stock rhinestone transfers. So they do have a lot of like a big selection to choose from. So there is the wine glass that I just used, right? And there are a lot of different options here that you can choose from. This is the palm tree that we'll be using in our design today. So I needed to know the exact dimensions of that stock transfer so that I knew exactly how to like program my design to fit that into it. All right, so it was pretty simple. All I did was go to lovesvg.com. She makes, or he or she makes, a ton of stock like templates that you can download in an SVG file and utilize to your benefit. So that's all I did to be able to access the design that I'm using today. And then this is the rhinestone that was sourced from the stock transfers from Transfer Express. So you can see a lot of these, and they come in a pack of 5. So there are a lot of different ones to choose from that you can really get creative with, especially while you're at home and really want to test different things out. Maybe just making samples of this or creating a fun project for yourself or your kids. And this would be a really popular one for children's apparel. And then they also have specific ones that are great for the use of holidays. So this one is done and over with, but you can utilize this for any upcoming summer events such as the 4th of July, hopefully, and then even Labor Day as well. So just keep stock rhinestone transfers in mind because they can really take any design and bring them to life because they really pop off of the garment. All right, so now that we know that our stock rhinestone transfers, we know the dimensions of it, now we can start creating our design. So my palm tree, and I'm going to share my screen here once again. My palm tree is 4 by 2.5. So I wanted to make sure that my template or my design is compensating for the dimensions of that transfer. So this is 4 by 2.5. So I know that this is going to be a great width or height to be paired very nicely with that transfer. So when I'm in CADWorks Live, it's very simple to just import different designs. All I did was download it from lovesvg.com. This particular template actually had a sand castle there. So I just removed that and imported a piece of clip art from CADWorks Live. All right, so CADWorks Live is a free online artwork program. So if you're not familiar with that, all you have to do is go in and sign up for it with an email and a password, and you'll have access to utilizing all of these templates and clip art. So all I did was type in palm tree, and I selected which one I wanted to use that would best represent the rhinestone template that I would be utilizing. So I selected this one, double clicked, and it imported onto my screen here, and I was able to work with the template around that. All right, again, this is cadworkslive.com for anybody that has any questions on that. And the rhinestones, once again, was sourced from Transfer Express. All right, so Transfer Express is really well known for their screen print transfers, Goof Proof in particular. One that's really growing in popularity is Stretch Litho Matte. And if you're joining any of Josh's lives that he's been doing at 11, he's been showing a lot of the Stretch Litho Matte. So if you haven't had a chance to check that out yet, definitely order samples of the Stretch Litho. It's a game-changing product. The reason I'm bringing the screen print transfers up is because Transfer Express does a really great job in their Easy View Designer of incorporating the exact clip art template of these stock rhinestone transfers. So not only are these going to be great utilization with heat transfer vinyl designs, but if you need to put a rhinestone into a screen print template from Transfer Express, this is a great way to do that as well. So Easy View Designer has all of these stock rhinestones in their designer so that you can plan for those to be incorporated into that design. All right, so these stock rhinestones go both ways, work with heat transfer vinyl, and pair nicely with the screen print transfers as well. All right, so our next step, now that we have the design all ready to go, we know that our dimensions are accurately representing what the size of the stock rhinestone transfer is going to be. Now what I need to do is get my design into Cricut Design Space because I'm going to be cutting with the Cricut Explore Air, okay? And we're going to be cutting CAD-CUT Metallic, all right, in gold, and then also our electric pearl, which has a nice shine to it as well. In order to do that so that I can easily break all these different things apart in Cricut Design Space, before I import all of this, what I'm going to do is break it apart in my CADWorks Live Designer so that whenever I'm in Cricut, it's less steps for me there. All right, so I'm just breaking this apart and I'm going to export as a PNG. All right, so all I have to do is go to File and hit Export. And I'll just name this. And then I have a bunch of different options for file types that I want to export as. So anytime I'm exporting to bring a design into Cricut Design Space or Silhouette Studio, all I do is select PNG because that's an easy import for me and it reads the cut lines very well. You can utilize these files to export in any way that you need, but keep in mind, CADWorks actually reads, or it doesn't read, but it has a middleman known as a vector cut that connects to CADWorks and will allow you to directly cut to a GraphTech, a GCC, a Roland, any of those larger industry standard types of vinyl cutters. So just keep that in mind if you are working with some of the higher grade vinyl cutters. There's no export process needed. All you have to do is hit send to vector cut, and then vector cut will take those designs and send it directly to your vinyl cutter. All right. But since I'm working with the Cricut, I do need to export with the PNG file and then import it into Cricut Design Space. All right. So it shows that the download is there for me, so I can head over to Cricut. At this point, all right, so you can see that I already have the design loaded in here. I was testing everything out beforehand, but let's start from scratch. So once I'm in the canvas portion of Cricut Design Space, all I have to do is select upload and go to upload image and go to my downloads and select that file. All right, once I see this, it's going to show my exact PNG. And then I need to choose what type of image it is so that it can start creating those cut lines for me. I can go with simple or moderately complex. Since I do have some detail in this, I just go with a happy medium of moderately complex so that it will pick up any small detail that I may need it to read. All right, and I'm just going to zoom out to make sure everything's showing up accurately from the import. So I'll hit continue, and then it's going to show me two options. We have save as a print then cut. All right, so Cricut does really well with transfer paper, print and cut options. So you could utilize this if you wanted to do a print of multiple colors. For our particular project, as I mentioned, we'll be cutting CAD-CUT Metallic and Fashion Film Electric. So I'm just going to go with the save as cut image. I can see my cut lines are reading great. So all I have to do is select that and hit save, and it will then be in my recently uploaded. Right, so I'll select which one I want to import, and I'll select insert images, and it will populate into my canvas designer. Right, so I'm going to drop my width down to about 10 inches, so I have something to work with here. Right. And now what I need to do is break the design apart. The easiest way that I have found to do this in Cricut Design Space is just to insert a shape and put it over top of the piece of the item or the piece of the design that you want to separate from the rest of the design. All right. And the reason we're doing this is because we need to break apart each and life and the palm tree so we can get everything aligned back into that template so that it's an easy layout at the heat press, and it'll make it easy for us to cut two different colors and not have to send the whole design to both pieces. All right, so slicing is important. It breaks apart the design and keeps you from creating a lot of waste in material. All right, so what I'm doing is I'm taking that square image and dropping it on top of the portion of the design I want to ungroup from the rest of that template. Right, so all I have to do is hover or select the square, and then I'm hitting Control and clicking the rest of it. So everything is selected, and I'm going down to the bottom right-hand corner of my screen and selecting Slice. That is going to punch that through. I no longer need this square. I can delete that, and then it breaks this all apart for me. So I don't need both of those pieces. So I can just delete the other one that created and drop that where I need it to be. All right, and then I'm going to do that same exact process with the palm tree, because again, we're not actually cutting this palm tree. We're just using it here to create a template so we know all of our sizing is accurate with the dimensions that Transfer Express gave us for our stock rhinestone. All right, so once again, I'm doing that slicing method to break everything apart. All right, so I can delete these two things and get everything in here. All right, so as we already saw from the dimensions on Transfer Express, we know that this is 4 inches in height. So I'm going to select that and adjust my height and create the rest of the template off of that. All right, so what I'm going to do is just start moving things around so that it's showing the exact dimensions that I want it to. All right, so as soon as we're happy with the template and the way that looks, all I have to do at this point is send everything to cut because everything is already broken up. One thing that I don't have to send to cut at this point is the palm tree. We were just using that so that we knew how to size the rest of our design. So we can go ahead and just delete that. All right, and if you wanted to assign colors to these to mimic what the design of, or mimic the heat transfer vinyl that you're using in the design, you can do that as well. So I'm going to use Fashion Film Electric for the beach and then metallic gold for the life part. All right, there are a lot of different design features within Cricut Design Space. However, because I am not fluent with Cricut Design Space, some of the lingo and all the different options that they have within here, that's why I utilize CADWorks Live and just import all of my designs. The slicing method comes in handy, so I did learn how to do that just from a quick YouTube tutorial, just to be able to break things apart, because that is necessary if you are doing mixed media or just different colors in your designs. All right, so at this point, all we have to do is hit the green button up in the right-hand corner that says Make It. So we'll select that, and it will give me my mirror options once I am on the next piece. All right, so the next step is to load our cutting mat. All right, so Cricut offers cutting mats. They have a bit of a tackiness to it, so it keeps everything in place. All right, so I'm going to exit from my screen real quick. All right, and what I'm doing is I'm going to place both of these materials on at once so that I don't have to unload, remove material, and do it all over again. I know the dimensions of my design, so I'm just going to place both of them on there and send both to cut each at a time. One thing that I'm doing, so if you are familiar with working with CAD-CUT material, you know, shiny side down always. That's still going to apply here for those of you that aren't working with it as often. Just make sure that you're looking at the shiny side, and then there is more of a dollar side. Shiny side always goes down. Right, same thing if you are loading it into a larger vinyl cutter like a Graph Tech or a Silhouette Roland. All right, and then for CAD-CUT, both sides are pretty shiny. Just make sure you're going color side down for that. And I'm making sure to line up my material with a particular number on my cutting mat. All right, so it's numbered from 1 to 12. That shows the increments of the inches because it does take up to a 12 by 12 sheet. All right, but I've already trimmed up to make sure it fits the dimensions of my design. So I'm starting this at 1, and then I'm starting this at 6. So I know whenever I send my design to cut, they should line up with those numbers so that it's cutting accurately on my cutting mat. All right, so first thing I do is set this here, making sure it's meeting the pinch rollers. And then I'm gonna hit my arrow, and that's gonna load my cutting mat in for me. All right, so I'm gonna make sure I'm connected. So it does come with a little cord that connects it to your computer. All right, so back to the screen. Right, so we see that this is looking good. We go to cut 2. We're going to make sure that's mirrored as well. So everything is mirrored and exactly where I need it to be. This is where I actually need to make sure this is dropped down to 6 so that it's cutting on the right piece of material. And I'm happy with where beach is located. I'm going to drop it just ever so slightly, just in case my material wasn't exactly lined up with those exact edges. All right, so we'll hit continue. It's going to recognize my machine since I connected the USB cord, and then it's going to make sure that I have the correct material setting selected. So iron on is the perfect setting for these two materials because they're pretty thin, and iron on will cut those very nicely without any weaving issues. And then it says tools and material are loaded. We have the fine point blade in. So for those of you that aren't familiar with Cricut, it does offer 2 blade types. All right, so I have the fine point blade, and then they also offer a different type of blade that you can put into this carrier or housing. And it is a denser blade that will cut thicker fabric type materials. So if you're doing any like felt or twills or anything like that, that would be the great blade for it. All right, back to the screen. Now all I have to do, I'm gonna hit fast mode because it will speed up how quickly it does send that design to cut. And whenever I'm ready to go, my Cricut button will actually blink for me. So I'll just select that, and it will send both of those, or the first design to cut. So the first one I had selected was the metallic, so it's gonna go and cut that. And what I love about this is it does give a little reading of how much time it's going to take for that to cut. While that's cutting, I'm going to visit some of the comments. I see a lot coming in from YouTube. Hi, everyone. Thanks for the interaction. All right, so scrolling up. All right, so Rosemary asks, are the stock rhinestones in Easy View under different numbers? I couldn't find them. So Rosemary, the easiest way to find them, in my opinion, is to go to the idea book because it has all of their item numbers listed. And keep in mind, these are all in the new 2020 idea book. And you can utilize those item numbers to find them within Easy View. All right, so that one's done. All right, so what I'm going to do is dismiss the load, unload button, and now we're going to send the white one to cut. So I'm going to select that and wait for that to load, maybe. All right, and hit go, and it's going to cut the second piece of our design. And then we'll get to heat applying. All right. Can the rhinestone colors be changed? No, they could not. So these are all stock rhinestone transfers. So all the colors come as is and how it's represented on the website or in the idea book. But keep in mind, Transfer Express does offer custom rhinestones as well. So they have templates in there where you can actually select the colors and the portion of the design that you want to be rhinestones. So I encourage you, if you're not already a member or a customer of Transfer Express and working with Easy View, to actually go in there and play around because there's a lot of different fun templates and finishes that you can achieve. All right, so this is done. So all I have to do is hit that unload button and it's going to push everything out. So I have my fashion film electric design completed. I'm gonna remove that. And then we'll come back to the metallic and weed that one second. All right, so I'm gonna grab a weeding tool. And before I do this, I'm actually going to trim this up because there is some excess material that I don't want to waste. I could use this for something else if I needed to. And just going from the top corner and weeding towards all of those open cavities. In my opinion, Fashion Film Electric is super easy to weed. It has a pretty tacky carrier, so it can hold some pretty good detail. But what's even better is that the weeding process is a breeze. All right, so we have our Fashion Film Electric. This is called Pearl, right? So that's the color that we're using in Fashion Film Electric for this design. And let's go ahead and weed the metallic. All right, and metallic weeds away even faster. So I'm going to trim away that excess. I don't know what it is about CAD-CUT Metallic, but it just weeds so nicely. Peels away like butter. All right, so there is our template design all cut out very easily by just designing either in Cricut Design Space or CADWorks Live, whatever your preference is, guys. I use CADWorks Live just because that's where I learned to design, and it's easy for me to understand. And it's easy to also export files and bring them into whatever designer I'm using to be able to cut out on my preferred vinyl cutter. All right, so this is the stock rhinestone that we're pairing with that, right? So we can see that we have a good template all put together there. And I'm going to be heat applying this on a tote bag that I had just kind of laying around the house. Not really being used for anything, so I figured why not heat print it. This one was sourced from Wholesale Boutique a couple years back, so just keep in mind this one may not still be in stock. I'm not sure, I didn't check, but they have a ton of different patterned tote bags, solid tote bags, and they do a really great job of making them look really, really nice. They incorporate a lot of faux leather. All right, so going to make sure you can see my heat press good over there, and we will heat press this design. All right, so as we mentioned earlier, 9x12 craft press, making sure my settings are set to the highest temperature. In this case, Fashion Film Electric and Rhinestones both apply at the same temperature. Metallic does apply at a lower temperature of 300 degrees, but that's okay. It'll be fine at that 325 degree temperature. All right, so one thing, the biggest difference between this press and some of the Hottronics presses that you're used to seeing us work with is the threadability option. So there is no way for me to thread on this platen. So what I have to do, because there is a zipper in this bag that could cause uneven pressure, I could either use a heat printing pillow to block that from my heat application, or what I can do is actually just pull out this entire insert of this bag, which will allow this pocket to drop off the platen. And now what I'm going to do is load this on and heat apply upside down, right? Making sure that the back of this bag isn't causing any uneven pressure with wrinkles or anything like that. All right, so my straps are off of the front. I have a nice flat surface for even pressure, nothing causing any issue here. So of course we're gonna do a preheat. And our first application is going to be our Fashion Film Electric. I always start with the larger part of the design so that it's easy alignment for me as I go through my next pieces. However, whenever I am placing this down, I am going to grab my rhinestone transfer to make sure that it is positioned accurately so that this is still fitting on my platen. All right, so Fashion Film Electric is another one of those products that is a tack. All right, so you can utilize this for that tacking method, just 3 to 5 seconds, and maybe the upper heating element will remove the carrier for you. All right, so then I'm going to apply my metallic. And I'm going to apply my rhinestone transfer with that as well. All right, whenever I'm working with these rhinestone transfers, I'm making sure to carefully remove it from this backing, because these rhinestones, while they're on this tacky carrier, they one of them could pop off. Now, it is an easy placement to put back down with a weeding tool or even tweezers or something, because it will stick back in place if that happens to happen. But if you are removing it, just be careful. Don't rip it really quick, because more could come off that way. All right, I'm just making sure that I'm centered and it's looking how I want. All right, and now all I have to do is heat apply. All right, so this applies, again, 325 for 10 to 12 seconds anytime I am working with those rhinestones. So just keep that in mind. Always go with the highest temp and the highest application setting of the mix or the media that you're looking to apply. So both of these are a cold peel. All right, so I'm going to let this cool, put my insert back inside the bag. And then once this is all cooled down, we'll make sure to remove that carrier. All right, so some more questions. With Cameo, can you ungroup your design easily? Yes, you can. Or you're saying you can ungroup your design easily. Yes, that is right. There is an ungroup and group option in Silhouette Studio. However, I didn't have the Silhouette home with me, so, but good point. Yes, you can easily do that in Silhouette Studio. In Transfer Express, is there a rhinestone clip art to add to a design? So yes, Karen, it doesn't show up as a rhinestone, but it has the exact dimensions and the same image of that clip art in there so that you can build your template around that stock rhinestone. All right, so earlier I was talking about uneven pressure, and I didn't even follow my own instructions. So I said, make sure that you apply all of your thin heat transfer vinyl before you apply the rhinestones, because they can cause uneven pressure. And my cat just entered the room. Hi, Ollie. All right, so so this is actually not applied. All right, so back to this bottom part didn't get enough pressure because I applied it with the rhinestone transfers, and the heat from that and the pressure from that applied this as opposed to the metallic. So I'm just gonna go ahead and remove this carrier because this is cooled down, and you can see the finish of the rhinestones there. And now what I wanna do is just put this right back on the platen and heat apply this portion again. All right, so no problem. I'm just going to put the bottom part of the bag on there and leave the rhinestones off so that that's not causing any uneven pressure. This isn't going to hurt my design at all to hit it again, so that's why I'm not concerned with just loading this back on there and doing another application. I'm going to increase my pressure a little bit because there is a seam in the back of the bag that is causing a little bit of thickness there that could cause uneven pressure to our application. All right, so I'm just checking this closely to make sure it looked like it applied. You can actually see the texture of the bag in the material, so it looks like we got some good pressure there. All right, so I'm just gonna make sure this cools completely before we peel that carrier off. Metallic is one of those products that absolutely needs the accurate pressure and the accurate temperature, and you have to make sure it is completely cool before you remove that carrier, because the edges will start to like almost lift as you're peeling that carrier away. Ollie decided he wanted to be a part of the live broadcast, so he's saying hi to you guys. All right. We have C Block, who's been using CADWorks for over 6 years at least. Yes, I love CADWorks. It's so easy to use, very user-friendly. I always recommend it to people anytime I'm talking at shows or just answering questions throughout broadcasts. I always say, if you are new to artwork and you maybe don't have a ton of graphic design background like me, CADWorks is the way to go because it's so easy to use. Hi, Eric. Thank you. All right. C Block, the lighting I am using is actually a camera lighting that we have from our studio. I brought one home with me. All right. All right, so this should be cool enough. So I'm going to peel that carrier back. And what I love about the metallic is you get that foil-like finish, but you don't have to do the steps of the adhesive and then the foil to get it. All you have to do is cut, weed, and heat apply, just like any of your other heat transfer vinyl, right? And that's the finished design. So this is a really fun project that you can do at home for yourself, get your kids involved, especially if they have really fun stock rhinestone transfers that they can create a design around, or even sell this. Okay, so rhinestones add a lot of value to designs. So if you are gearing up for any upcoming vacations, and you know your customers are too, once this whole quarantine is all said and done, these are going to be a really great seller. So keep in mind, not only can this be a really fun project, but it can also be a great profit opportunity for you as well. All right, so stock rhinestone transfers work really great with heat transfer vinyl, especially if you're pairing them with other bling products that allow those designs to really pop off of the garment. And then also with screen print transfers as well. So EasyView Designer, if you want to get started with incorporating these stock rhinestones in your screen print transfers, all of those clip arts are in there with the exact dimensions. CADWorks Live works great too, because it does have a lot of these basic stock templates in there that you can utilize. Right, so that completes this morning's broadcast. Please join us again tomorrow. Josh will be going live at 11 a.m. to continue our Making It Together broadcast. We appreciate all the love you guys have been showing us. We're here to definitely help during this time. So feel free to reach out with any other questions you may have. I'll see you on Friday.